Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to another Podcasting on Nerdy, the show where you can let your geek nerd flag fly and not be ashamed. You're with DatNerdADC and Brandon2K, and boy, do we have a lot for you.
It's about to be crazy, y'all.
Crazy. There's a lot going on. You know, there's a certain pool and a creature running around in the movie screens.
I heard it rhymes with Wolverine.
there's a certain doomsday in the Marvel universe, you know, etc. So we're not even going to hold you. We're going to get going, and we're going to start with what's blowing up our Twitter, because I refuse to change it to what's blowing up our X, because X is just we're not having it today. So RDJ as Doom, is this a case of whitewashing? Now, people like to throw whitewashing around like it's the new buzzword. I don't think it's whitewashing at all. I do think it's lazy, especially if it's a Tony Stark variant. I don't think it's whitewashing by any means. There's so many people out there that could have been Doom. You didn't need RDJ.
Cillian Murphy.
Exactly, and so many others that it could have been. I'm thinking Harton, or he was just in Trap.
Okay, yeah.
For instance, there's so many people out there that could have done this role and done it well. But what say you? How do you feel about this announcement?
I'm sorry, but last time I checked, Latveria was in Central Europe. More people from the mountains of Caucasus, unless they decided to sprinkle some pepper in the middle of the Europe. Whitewashing, absolutely not. I do agree it is kind of lazy, but like with this new movie that's out, it's kind of universe melting, so anything can happen now. So he could be, you know, a Tony Stark variant. He could be anything, but I think you're right. Feige, man.
You're better than this.
His thumb's directly on that button.
I know, but I feel like it's Feige, you're better than this. But if it is indeed a Tony Stark variant, even if it's not, you're going to have to like do a lot, in my opinion, RDJ's face to not see Tony Stark, right? Like,
I wouldn't be shocked if the Doom, if it is the Tony Stark variant, that the Doom mask is a Iron Man, or is an old Iron Man mask. I just happened across last night. It's a Impossible Iron Man or something like that, where he is Doom. So, and then apparently there's a whole comic run of him being Doom. So I after all the stuff popping out, all of a sudden I see $100 Funkos. I'm like, what's that? And it's this new this old Iron Man. It came out, it was an exclusive at a con, but there's a whole comic run of this. So apparently this is a thing. So I'm gonna have to go find it.
I mean, you never know until you see it, right? Exactly. I just feel it kind of cheapens what you did in Endgame a little bit, no matter how you spin it, if it's a Tony Stark variant. But that's just my opinion. But
they got your money already. Doesn't make it cheap at all.
How do you nerds feel about this news? Let us know in the comments down below.
Drop it in the comments right under the subscribe button. There's a little bell there. Make sure you tune in, guys, because we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff in the coming weeks.
And so much content on the channel, by the way. There's so many interviews that my awesome podcast host has done on the channel, and we have so many down the pipeline. If you're into watching the video, you can get that on the YouTube channel. And if you're into just audio and you listen to it on the treadmill at the gym, we got you covered on all the podcast platforms. All our episodes are on both, all over the place. So whatever your nerd heart desires, we got your fix. We got that morphine drip, man. So we got you covered. So our big topic for today is to discuss Deadpool and Wolverine. We both saw it. We both saw it together, actually. More on that in a moment about how that happened. But we're going to give our review. So, and it's going to be heavily spoilers, guys. Heavy spoilers, you nerds. So
get out now. If you haven't seen it, you're under a rock. If you don't have the money, wait until Friday, first of the month type stuff. Anything like that, if your bank account ain't set up like that, I got you. I understand. As long as this tab over here, over underneath my cohort, is going, make sure you guys either have your headphones off or you skip past it. We'll probably have Adrian's really awesome about putting tabs in our videos, so make sure you utilize the resources at hand to not get yourself spoiled.
You know exactly when you need to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, we're about to spoil the hell out of this movie. All right, you've been warned.
Lava.
Hot lava. So let's start with the grade, right? I think that's fair. People are already going to hate me. People are already think I am a Marvel hater, which is not true. I just expect more from my comic book movies. I grade DC movies harshly too.
He really does, guys. He's an equal opportunity asshole.
I demand a lot.
Absolutely.
But let's start off with the grade. I fall in the high 70s. I fall in the high 70s. You can convince me to be a C+. You can't get me to a B. I just feel there's some things wrong with this movie on a movie making level that I just can't ignore. And on a story level that I just can't ignore. There's points where it gets very lazy. And Marvel is enough into their run. Kevin Feige knows better, and you can do better than this. And I feel like, like WWE, when they realized they really had no competition in the world. WCW was out of business because they bought them. TNA was really not doing that great. AEW wasn't around yet. And they just started coasting on the name alone and be like, well, you'll eat anything we feed you because there's not other options out there. That's kind of how I feel right now with Marvel movies.
It's a hell of a headline.
I feel like they're coasting and they have no reason to do better because they feel like there's no reason to do better. Like they feel like there's no competition out there.
There is a lull in DC as well. So, I mean.
No, I would agree with that too. But I think that's part of the reason too. Because there's.
I was just saying there's a gap of no movies coming out, not really anything coming out of DC. So there's nothing to make Marvel push the envelope a little bit.
Yeah, but like you just say like the quality of DC in the past has probably further proven the point I'm making to Kevin Feige that I don't have to give my A+ effort because that's kind of how
maximum effort.
Yeah, this movie definitely didn't give that maximum effort in my opinion. So yeah, I fall high 70s, 78, 79, something like that. Do you want to give your grade and then we go into our reasons for the grade? Or do you want me to go into
I'll do a quick synopsis of my grade too. You're in like the high 70s. I would say I'm in the mid to high 80s. I would say 85 to 87. I think, and I kind of mentioned this the other day, I think this is a kickoff point. It's kind of it very much reminded me of the setup of like a Captain America, the first Avenger, or even the first Iron Man, or even like the first Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland. It's by no means, but cinematically, is it a great movie? There's a lot of plot holes. We'll go into that in just a few minutes. But no, I agree. It's kind of phoned in, and they leaned heavily on the nostalgia aspect. But that's kind of what a Deadpool movie's kind of supposed to be a little bit, especially where it's positioned in the universe right now. I went into this movie really just expecting fan service. I didn't expect it to be like the mega like life-changing, anything. And I was happy with it. There was definitely some improvements, and I agree with you. There was a lot of lazy points to it, but I think it was semi high quality executed fan service. It's kind of like now that's what I call music 27 type thing,
it's sort of
like a greatest hits, and like I think that all was just to get us to the point where we're going to have this. It just sets up the earth-shattering everything else that's coming down the pipeline. Is what I think. I think it's the comic relief, the big inhale before the giant like exhale gut punch. So 85, 87. Comedy was through the roof on it, so I was happy with that.
Okay, well, I guess now it's time for me to explain myself. You explain yourself, sir.
And detail, because we have laid waste all of the peons that haven't seen it yet. Sorry if you're watching this still and getting spoilers anyway, but if you haven't seen it, whatever. You've seen it if you're up to this point. Adrian, you can go. I'm talking deep dive. Go ahead. Give me like a 3-minute deep dive.
All right, so I'm going to start with my top 3 reasons of why I gave it a C, and then I'll go into more deep detail after I give a broad stroke here. So, number 1, I feel the villains were lazy, and I feel like That's a problem Marvel has had for a while now. That's something that DC does right, in my opinion, that Marvel has failed to do right. I think their only claim to fame is Thanos, and they're still trying to capture that magic again. And I don't think they even want to. I think they're kind of coasting on their villains. I'll get more into that point in a second. Number two, I felt like, and this is going to come across as harsh, but hopefully I can explain myself a little bit more easier here in a second. But I felt like it was dollar bin cameos. Like it was I can't afford to get who I wanted, so you guys get this. And number three, the through-line story was just extremely lazy, in my opinion. It was by the numbers comic book movie telling. Like it wasn't, and even then I don't feel like they did it right. I thought the story was very, like, you take out the fan service, you take out like the capturing the feels with the fan service and seeing things you wanted to see on the screen, get off the comic book into the screen. If you look at it just as a movie, I think you would have a very hard time giving it that beat you did. I feel like if you were a fan, and if you were if we were actual movie critics or people or a studio or somebody had to look at this objectively as just a movie, not fan service, but a movie, I feel you would say it was lazy. I feel like you would say that you're in that C range personally. And I think you would be generous there. So let me go back to 1, 2, and 3. So let's start with the villains, Paradox and Cassandra. Cassandra especially to me was lazy. I felt like they didn't do much with her. They didn't live up to the character like they could have. And I feel like you could have had Eliath and took away Cassandra and still had the same movie. There was really no reason for Cassandra to be there. It could have been really anybody. And that's a shame because Cassandra is a deep character that I think you could have dived more into. I think it was a mistake not to have a Charles variant as a foil or as her, like the devil and the angel sort of thing. I feel like that was a missed opportunity or even like Legion or something. But another family member to like ground Cassandra more and give her a little bit more of a foil. I think like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness did that very, very well because you had America Chavez, who Wanda was trying to kill the whole entire movie, and it added to the intensity and it added to the stakes and it added to the emotional beat because you kind of understand where Wanda was coming from. She was psycho, but you rooted for America Chavez because you didn't want to see a kid die, right? I think in this movie, they were trying to go for that on a broader level, and it just didn't hit for me because there was really nothing that, besides I want to destroy timelines because Paradox hurt my feelings or because Charles has hurt my feelings or whatever. I felt it was a very loose reasoning for a villain, and I think a lot of times that's where they stand in Marvel movies. Like even like Kang, like I felt like they could have done more.
That's going to.
Yeah. If you take Cassandra and Nova out of it, I still think you have pretty much the same movie. And that's a shame. The cameos, like I said, I feel like
I'm assuming the dollar bin, you're referring to the Ray Park, the Sabretooth, and
it wasn't even the actual them.
Pyro.
Yeah. Except Pyro, right? But Sabretooth and Sabretooth, like Night Toad wasn't Ray Park.
Wow.
I looked it up. It wasn't.
Oh, that's bad.
And like, you had like Azrael wasn't like the original one.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Juggernaut wasn't.
Yeah, that was obvious, but then I found out that's the same body double that they used for the dude on Free Guy. Mm-hmm. That was the same guy. Free Guy, dude was Juggernaut, which is interesting. But yeah, the guy who played him's old, so that one makes sense. But Nightcrawler and Azrael, that could have been easily done.
Yeah, and it took me out of it. Because I'm like, why even have them there if you can't just do it? You know what I mean? So that kind of took me out of it a little bit. There were some very good cameos. There were some very good, like,
Wesley motherfucking Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, Channing Tatum as Gambit, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm. There were some highlights there, but I just feel like the background cameos, like, it's just like they won't give a shit. Just throw anybody in there. Like,
well, like you saw all the old X3 like Brotherhood mutants too. That's the funny part for me. It was all Brotherhood mutants. It couldn't have been one or two good people in there mixed in.
Yeah, and like you could have easily got Ray Park. I think like you could have easily got probably the guy Pre Azrael. Like I don't think he's doing anything. I'm sorry whoever does it, but I don't think his IMDb is that big. But like so like that's what I'm saying. Like that kind of threw me off a bit. And then this overall, like I said, I did already touch on the overall storytelling. I just feel when you add all those factors together, it started just dipping for me. And the third act, by the way, extremely rushed.
Yep.
And I felt like it didn't have to be as long as it was. I think you could have tightened it up a bit.
I agree.
Top 3 cameos. Let's do a top 3. I feel I have to go with Johnny Storm. That's my 1. I have to go with Gambit as 2. I think that was really cool. And a tie for number 3 between Blade and X-23.
Flip it upside down, you got me. I feel like the Wesley Snipes, Daphne Keane. I unfortunately got spoiled on the Gambit reveal, so that kind of loosened it for me a little bit. Johnny Storm was fun because I sat there was like elbowing Adrian during the movie and was like, "Oh, it's Cap, it's Cap, it's Cap." And then all of a sudden he goes flame on. I'm like, ooh. So it was cool. Thumbnail, by the way. But then I would say the Electro cameo was the most disappointing, except for like all of the Brotherhood mutants. Like Lady Deathstrike was in the back from Origins. No, it wasn't Origins. X-Men 2. But basically watching all that unfold, I was like, okay. The reason like that I didn't give it higher than a B, I saw a lot of the glitches and like the little CGI glitches. Don't get me wrong, we pulled down that mask, that was phenomenal, but then somebody ruined that too by saying it was 2 Batmen looking at each other and you can't unsee it. This movie, like you did say, the fan service and the nostalgia factor and like the fact that it was a Deadpool movie did carry it quite a bit. I will say anybody going into this movie expecting a solid movie was probably disappointed. But anybody who was like, give me a gratuitous amount of Deadpool comedy and just make sure we got a buddy cop movie with Wolverine, then wouldn't be disappointed. And I don't think you're necessarily disappointed in the movie. I think you were disappointed in what they could have done. And like, it's the same thing with me. All the things that they could have done, I think you're completely off base and talking about Thanos being the only good villain. Galactus is coming down the pipeline, ladies and gentlemen, and honestly can't wait to see like I feel like you're right. Marvel only has maybe 3 or 4 Avengers level threats that you're like, my gosh, the world's gonna end type thing, and I don't know how they're gonna beat them type stuff. I totally agree. DC has always smashed it when it comes to villains. But you know what they do got? A metric of crazy heroes and characters that they can just throw away like they did with Cassandra Nova and Paradox. Because I don't know why they even bothered putting them on the screen if that's how they were going to throw them away for the entire rest of the universe. Especially because there's only technically Nova Prime, right? There's not another Cassandra Nova. It's one Cassandra Nova. That's the whole point of the character. Yeah. So guys, this was a throwaway. And I'm really, really shocked that they did a throwaway with one of the strongest mutants there ever was.
Especially it's a shame because the actress killed it.
Oh, she crushed it. Yeah.
Yeah. So and Cassandra Nova, like I was saying, like I'm not much of a Marvel fan, but I know Cassandra Nova, and there's a lot more you could have done with her. She shouldn't have been a throwaway.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see what Marvel's willing to not to dive into because they can't come back to Kang. They can't come back to him later. like 15, 20 years maybe, but like you can't come back to them in the distant near future unless you have a giant apology for your boy Jonathan Majors, and I don't think they're not in the business of apologizing for anything. So it's just interesting who they chose to throw away. And part of this movie made me think they were throwing away Wolverine and Deadpool at that point too. Towards the end, when at the giant climax, you're thinking the big sacrifice is coming. The big sacrifice is coming. But also, hint, hint. If you guys watch the movie, Thor's crying and holding Deadpool up, blah blah blah, crying and stuff. Apparently, that's Ryan Reynolds has hinted that's still a thing. Like that will be a callback. So make sure you follow along for that, because there's still something coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
No, go see it. It's good. Adrian's not telling you not to go see it, but don't expect cinematic masterpiece, because you're not going to get it.
Yeah. You definitely have to be a fan. If you're like Deadpool, he's okay. You're probably not going to like this movie.
Even if you're a Hugh Jackman fan, like you're not going to get your same Wolverine that you love.
Like you get that. I think there's two different things. I think if you're just a Marvel fan, you may be in the camp I am. If you're not a Deadpool or extreme Deadpool or Wolverine fan, but you're just a generalized Marvel fan, I think you're going to get the grade I gave. If you're a Deadpool fan or a Wolverine fan, and like Brandon's getting at, and you know what all you want is the Deadpoolisms and all, that's all you're looking for, and you're happy. And I'm not saying there's nothing against that, but I'm saying if you're that person, you're probably going to fall with Brandon. I think that's.
I'm a Rob Liefeld like guys.
Yeah, nothing but feet, or whatever that sign said. Just feet. Yeah.
It's Liefeld's Good Feet, the shoe store. Thank you very much.
But yeah, so let us know if you've seen it or you're planning to see it, and what your thoughts and feelings are about this movie.
Down in the comments below the button if you want more content from us and you want to see the alerts for it. Right down there's a little bell. Make sure that's clicked.
And feel free to roast me about nothing what I'm talking about. That's fine.
Poor man alone. He just wants masterpieces everywhere, man. He's got standards. There's nothing wrong with standards.
Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Like Brandon said, don't think that I'm telling you not to go see this movie. You're going to enjoy yourself. I'm just saying it's not a good movie. I didn't say it's not a good time. I said it's not a good movie. There's a difference. And I think Brandon knows what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, but I thought it was good.
But speaking of good, recently...
Hold on. Hi, guys. Welcome back. The spoilers are gone.
Oh, true. Took it off. We're good. You guys can come back. You're all good.
We missed you. Hope you had a good time, watching our faces or whatever you decided to do in between times, or, the quick fast forward time travel and stuff. Welcome to the now.
Welcome to the sacred timeline. Welcome back. So we recently took podcasting nerdy kind of on the road, and we went to Milwaukee, and you're gonna have a video come out that's gonna be like all in depth of our trip, all the nerdy goodness, comic book stores, and all the things we did. But I want to give you guys a little overview, because this was kind of a little taste of what potentially can happen in the future. Go in different places and seeing what your nerdom is all about, and see what you guys got to offer.
And if you want us to come to your spot, drop it in the comments and let us know where the good comic book stores are. Let us know where the good collector spots are. Good cons. If you guys know about like little underground cons, we love hearing about underground cons. Drop it in the comments. You never know, we might show up and film some content in your city.
Yeah, so be looking out for that video about our experience in Milwaukee. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. And like Brandon said, put in the comment section, and let us know, if there's any place we need to go, and if you're willing to meet up or whatever. If you're a fan and hey, you ready to come to Kansas City and I live there or whatever. This is your community. We just live here, and we have.
I kind of feel like we're the HOA of the neighborhood type thing,
So,
but we're like the cool HOA. There's no fees or anything, not yet at least. There might be some extra stuff down the pipeline we come up with, but No, we're an HOA. We're HOA president and vice president or co-presidents, whatever. And we're willing to work with you to build that fence. You know what I mean? We're willing to work with you to make sure your lawn's good.
And I know you wanted to say shout out to somebody who made the Milwaukee thing happen, right?
Hey, Dragon, OITX Dragon, aka the Jakester. Thanks for having us out there, man. It was a good time. Also, shout out to the Turning Page comic book store. More information on that in our next video. Make sure you guys have that bell underneath my head clicked on so you guys have an alert when that pops up.
Like I said, we turned that city upside down. So you're gonna see a lot. You're gonna see a lot of content coming out from that trip. So this is a time that we get to video game corner, my friend, and there's a lot going on in your world, right?
All right, guys, buckle up. Buckle up. College football is ruining my life, and I say that proudly, and I say that shockingly because I was very cynical about this game. I was kind of like, I was hoping but wasn't expecting. I've been running an online dynasty with Dragon actually since release day. I pre-ordered it. I got it early. We were rocking and rolling pretty early with everything, just trying to figure out the servers and stuff like that. Guys, it's good. Fucking God. The mechanics, it feels like college football, and I can't put it down. Madden, I hate Madden. I hate Madden. I don't like it. I'll probably get Madden 25 just so I can export draft classes and stuff because I'm shocked and awed, and it's ruining my life. I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning getting dynasties done. Like, it's so good. Okay, first off, I'll just do 3 quick points. The gameplay feels like college football. To the atmosphere and just the graphics and how they built the game from the ground up, basically. It looks like Madden, and it feels kind of like Madden, but it's a different game completely. And then 3, I will say the team builder is the most advanced customization I've seen for a football game so far. It's nuts. You can literally, like, I saw somebody make a Bowser team where they literally have a shell on their back and it's very, very cool. If you guys haven't messed with it and you like football, that's great. But if you have messed with it, let me know in the comments what you guys think. It's a solid 8.7 to 9 out of 10 for me. It's a solid. Could they work on the servers a little bit more? Sure. Are there some like wild things that happen that eventually could be fixed? Of course. The Ultimate Team, I'm even shocked the Ultimate Team feels good. So make sure you guys check it out. It's great. It's great. Another thing, it kind of ties into 2 things. So Dragon Ball Daima, the anime, comes out October 6th, but it coincides with Sparking Zero coming out October 8th. Coincidence? I think not. Basically, you're going to have a brand new, not manga based, but still Akira Toriyama Dragon Ball series based on kind of like GT, where they get cursed and end up being younger. And it's Piccolo, Vegeta, and Goku that are miniaturized, but apparently a lot more characters are miniaturized or kid version. Miniaturized. When I say miniaturized, I mean kiditized. What I don't know. But looks interesting. It looks fresh. The animation looks clean. Looks like we took a note from the fan film that came out with like that quick 6-minute thing somebody made for Dragon Ball. I can't remember what they called it, but it was great. And it looks warm, if that makes sense. It's got like a very warm texture to the anime. So make sure you guys check that out. It's going to be great. But Sparking Zero, if they're putting this much effort to keep it like, and there's a $250 version of the game that comes with a statue, Sparking Zero is going to be legit. Everything I've seen about it, like the roster's deeper than any other Dragon Ball game ever come out. This is going to be a massive release, guys. Make sure you guys keep our ears to the ground and keep your YouTube locked right here and your Spotify, your Anchor. Make sure you got those notifications on because, man, I can't wait for that to come out. And I'll have all kinds of dirt on that. One more thing on the video game corner. Spectre Divide. If you guys haven't told that or don't really know what's going on with that, Shroud has made a first-person shooter. It's not a COD competitor, I would say. I mean, it definitely does because it's first person. But I would say think more Valorant meets Counter-Strike meets, I would say, The Division. I'm not going to ruin it too much, but there's basically a way for you to control 2 different characters in a deathmatch scenario in an arena when you go up against another team, and you're basically in charge of you can use 2 different classes and move about the map with those 2. It's kind of like Valorant meets It Takes Two. It's very, very interesting, and there's different things you can do with those 2 different characters. If you haven't heard about it, you heard it here first. It's going to be, I think the play is coming out. I've signed up for it. We're going to see how it goes. The next, speaking of play test and stuff, when I get the next round of Steel Hunters, I will drop some information. I've signed an NDA for Steel Hunters, so I can't get too deep, but I will get more on that next play test. But I signed up for Spectre. We'll see what happens, and hopefully your boy gets in there and we can get you some more information. And that is video game hallway, not corner.
Let's say that was a whole hallway, my friend. Man, that may even have been a mansion. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on in the video game world for sure.
Speaking of a lot going on, there's a lot going on in the wrestling world. But before we get there, we need to do a little plug. So today I've been sipping on.
You too?
The Locker Room.
You too. Yes, absolutely. That tea. That
showing a little bit of local love. So in McPherson, if you're familiar, if you're local in McPherson, Kansas, there's this lovely place called the Locker Room, run by a great person named Katie. And she was nice enough to not only give us teas today to be sipping on, but we sipped on a little bit in Milwaukee too. And
on the way up, 11-hour drive, you got to keep your energy up, right?
So yes, and if you're looking for that little bit of energy and you're looking for that little bit of kick without all that extra junk that goes into all the stuff on the shelves nowadays.
Dirty chemicals,
that red 40, whatever it is. If you don't want to grow a third arm, or you may want to grow a third arm, then you may want to drink some Locker Room. I had to go along with so in Milwaukee, I had a blue one. Right now I'm drinking a cherry-based one. And the blue one was like a blue raspberry meets, like a fruit punch. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I think Brandon had like a fruit punch-based one. And
it was probably, it reminded me of like that red. I told Adrian, I think it's red Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It's that good red Kool-Aid. It was really, really, really good. And I threw it in with some Sprite. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, that's what I do all the time. I hit it with the Sprite or the sparkling water if you're trying to get on the health kick. It's a really good replacement for soda, for pop. Like if you're trying to kick pop and want something, put a little sparkling water in with your Locker Room and you are good to go. If you go to the Locker Room, please let Katie know that you're a nerd. She's a nerd as well. I mean, she'll have from me saying this to the audience, but there's a video of her out there with her in a Spider-Man costume, like doing like parkour and stuff. And when she was in high school, and she will admit that she's a nerd. So if you go in there, tell her that we sent you. Be a friendly face. Represent the PWN community. And be on the
big flag fly.
Let it fly. And be on the lookout for some cool things that we're going to be doing with her. Some gift card opportunities and such.
Giveaways and promotional, maybe even some remote tapings. You never know.
Exactly. So if you're out there and go to the Locker Room on the regular and see me there, because I'm there almost every day, don't be shy. Let us know. Let me know how you feel about the podcast. If you got suggestions, let me know that you're out there listening. It'd be great. But if you're ever wondering what generally we're sipping on during these podcasts, it's either the Locker Room or it's Apex, but we got our fluids covered and some wonderful people out there.
Absolutely.
Next, let's go to Wrestling Corner because there's a lot happening in wrestling nowadays. And I want to start off by the biggest thing in wrestling, arguably, and that's the NXT and TNA partnership. So NXT continues to evade TNA. Who wins in this relationship? My biggest gripe in the early stages of this was I didn't feel like NXT was living up to their end of the ball. Once again, a small little spoiler section here. But if you read some upcoming TNA tapings, NXT is picking up their presence in TNA. Of course, they've had Wesley on a couple of times now, joining his Rascal fam. But also, if you read the spoilers, there's Gallus has appeared in TNA. The whole crew of Gallus, Mark Coffey and the crew. So, and it seems like they're setting up something with Joe Coffey and Joe Hendry. So, I believe in Joe Hendry.
I was just getting ready to say Joe Hendry is the darling of the WWE right now.
He's even been allowed to train at the Performance Center. So, I believe this partnership is not going anywhere. I feel like both companies think it's strong and it's good for both. I believe that there is a world, and I kind of hinted at this before, where TNA goes under the TKO umbrella. It gets bought out and it becomes an extension of NXT. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. But yeah, they're definitely picking up. Even Triple H has commented on it at a press conference at the SummerSlam press conference, and he's fully speaking the words TNA out loud. That wouldn't have happened like 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is a long-term thing, and I think both companies know what they want, and both companies know what they don't want. And I'm excited for the future with this. We've had Charlie Dempsey on, Gallus just recently appearing at tapings, and I won't ruin the others, but there's a lot of other NXT talent that's been out there appearing in TNA, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to come that TNA appearing in NXT. I think Joe Hendry is your spotlight for obvious reasons, but I can see definitely other people appearing as well down the line. So who wins in this relationship?
TNA does. Or Anthem, or Anthem does when they sell. Opening the door and allowing this partnership to happen, I think it's part of the reason Scott D'Amore got ousted, because if Scott D'Amore was involved, I don't think they would be able to sell it. I think with him being out as president, it's a little easier, like opens the door for that. I also think it's making WWE step up its wrestling game, because you've got some high quality talent from TNA, and don't get me wrong, their characters are as developed as WWE's, because honestly, WWE invests a lot more in the acting class and one-on-one coaching like that. A lot of the TNA talent is left to their own devices to develop their characters and stuff like that. So, which is why a lot of the TNA people go to multiple other indie organizations to kind of just hone the craft, which I've always loved, because they always get better. Like Speedball, his resurgence and then his like refinement since even leading up to and then through Bound for Glory last year and coming up to this one, obviously. This X Division championship for him is amazing. It's going to be a good run. There's just a lot of development happening in TNA, and I think that helps them, even if they don't sell. With the partnership with WWE, they're not partnering with the AEW because, that wouldn't be beneficial to them. The reason they did it with WWE is I truly believe TNA is a second tier right next to AEW. They may not have the money that Tony Khan has, but the product is there. Sure. And WWE obviously noticed that because they picked them to do the partnership with. Were there other options? Absolutely. But yeah, no, I think that this is going to work out really well for TNA. I think Anthem is going to at least explore selling. I think the option's definitely on the table. I don't think it's going to happen like during this partnership. All of a sudden they go, hey, here's the money. I think it'll be down the road, but this definitely fosters the relationship and opens the door for the conversation to happen a lot easier.
For sure. And even if it's not an outright sale, I could see like them selling like a majority, something like 51% or something like that. And you have like a TKO Anthem partnership sort of thing. And that may already be in the works. Who knows? They may have already bought in.
Just shoot, we don't even know about it.
Right. But I think even something like that is extremely possible.
Kind of like Clover Valley. Clover Valley and Dollar General makes Girl Scout cookies.
Exactly. So if you see extreme improvements in TNA's production, like a whole new Titantron, and they got money to spend, you heard it here first. That's probably why.
True.
I can even see them like letting them use Full Sail as well for their tapings.
Yeah. That's one thing I think that WWE has in their back pocket that a lot of people don't realize is the little mini venues and stuff like that, and all the little micro arenas they have across the there's a lot of places the WWE can record whenever they want to because they still own the buildings. Mm-hmm. So I agree.
You know, NXT is filmed, if you guys didn't know, at Full Sail University in Florida. And it's actually, like, if you go to Full Sail University's website, you can, like, if you get, like, a major in, like, production or whatever, like, you're working for NXT, basically. So I can see, like, potentially, like, WWE being like, hey, do you want to use this? We're not using it this week or whatever. And that's where TNA wins, I think. To be able to tap into those resources, to tap into that system.
Yep. The more efficient way of doing things. Been there, done that type of situations.
Exactly. So, as I hinted out, SummerSlam recently happened, and they don't call him Dirty Dom for nothing, people. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Anyway. Rhea Ripley, you're okay.
She's a beast. You see that dislocated shoulder?
Yeah.
Was that a work? Did that happen?
I think it was a work. But Dirty Dom turned on Rhea Ripley and joined forces with Liv Morgan. And
is a homie hopper gold digger chasing man.
I like where this is going, though. It reminds me a lot of Eddie in China. There's a little bit of recycling going on here, but it works. And it works for the Dom character. It works for Rhea Ripley.
Gives Alexa Bliss more time to recover.
Yeah.
Because she's coming back, y'all. There's a lot of rumors about her coming back and messing with this match. No, I think it continues to live in Rhea, and it also plays into implications with the Judgment Day,
which you know, Finn Balor turned on Damian Priest at SummerSlam. So, like, you can see the Judgment Day kind of imploding here, similar to the system. And right. And so, no, I kind of saw this coming because they are recycling the Eddie Guerrero and China storyline, but if it works, it works. And there's really nothing new in wrestling anymore, so that's not saying much. And there's only so many stories you can tell, and you're creating nothing's original anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. The Judgment Day stuff and the Dom and Liv thing, and interested to see what happens with Logan Paul. I don't know if you heard about what happened there. Yeah. There's a reason he lost the title at SummerSlam. That wasn't the original plan. So, interested to see what happens there. He's kind of put some cryptic stuff on Twitter. So, he may be on the outs with WWE. He may be leaving. And that may have been the plan all along. Maybe now he's just living bitter where before it wasn't bitter. But interested to see where that goes with LA Knight as your new United States champion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the new what?
Pretty much. Or ye.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. And especially in TNA. People, I keep saying this, you're sleeping on TNA. Watch it. Give it a chance. Their pay-per-views are above the WWE's, in my opinion. They're above AEW. Overall storytelling is above AEW, but that's not hard to do right now. Like Brandon said, I believe if they had the budget WWE had, they'd be on par with WWE.
It's crazy how, like, the tier of talent. Okay, so, like, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of really good acting talent in WWE. A lot of really good acting talent. There's a lot of good wrestlers up there, too. But, like, I feel like everybody at TNA just busts their ass. I feel like everybody's just working for it. And it shows in the matches. Like, don't get me wrong. AJ Francis and PCO are not the most acrobatic people, but they put their bodies on the line and they do the dang work, man. And
I actually enjoyed that match. I didn't think I would.
I didn't think I would either. But yeah, no, it's just like there's effort and you can tell. And like, don't get me wrong, like there's some superstars in WWE that put it on the line and go after it. And those are the ones that are popular. And the ones that aren't popular are the ones that aren't putting in the work, obviously. So it's just showing, and it's telling every time we turn on TNA. Joe Hendry, like there's a reason that Joe Hendry came out of TNA and not AEW or WWE.
And Joe Hendry is obviously doing the heavy lifting here. Joe Hendry is like waving the TNA flag. I think he's doing it well. The more he's on NXT, the more TNA gets exposure, the more people want to see Joe Hendry.
He's stolen so fast. Him and Jordan Grace are gone in a heartbeat, unfortunately.
But at least if they're stolen and this relationship is still in place, they're not far.
Right.
So that's kind of my hope there. that, if this relationship stays in place, they may be technically WWE talent at some point, but they'll still be able to be on TNA television.
Dude, I sent you that video of Joe Hendry doing the Scotty 2 Hottie intro.
Yeah.
That man's a genius. Like, don't get me wrong. I know The Rock did it first, but like, he had to use the word jabroni and stuff like you know what I mean? Like, but he's straight up the what's his name? The roast master general, Jeff. You know what I'm talking about? Like, he's just, no one is safe, even Hall of Famers, and he is just unapologetically himself.
Agreed.
And it's just so I can't rave enough about Joe Hendry. I raved about Will Ospreay, but it kind of matters who your bosses are.
I feel so sad for Will Ospreay. Like, the way his career is going right now. I am
faded into obscurity after all the hype.
I am such a huge Will Ospreay fan, and he could be doing so much more. But that's a story for another day. And we found it. If you look back, we've touched on that.
We've dabbled.
But in order for TNA to do well, they got to pay bills, similar like everybody else, like us. So it's time to pay them bills. You like the transition there? I loved it.
See, what's really funny is I'm waiting to get sponsored by like Segway, and like, hey, look, the Segway of the month is this. Hey, you know how TNA's got to pay bills? Well, we got to pay bills too. So
if you notice
Segway.
So if you notice next to StreamYard, there's a new icon up there. There's a new logo, and it's because we got a new member of the family. Brandon, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
For all your cell phone, PC, game console repairs, small electronics, make sure you hit up Elite Electronics. Man, oh man, I am super excited to announce our partnership with Brett and Jarris and all the guys over at Elite Electronics. These guys not only took care of my Xbox, if you guys watch an old episode, I think it's included, but also make sure you listen to this because we're going to be following along with them. We may even do a remote taping out there, but these guys do what it takes to get you your phone back, your console, or any other small electronics back with just absolute thorough and professional, and also still treating you like family. You walk in there and you don't feel like a customer, you feel like family. You're dropping off your electronic device to Uncle Jarris and Uncle Brett. So make sure you guys, if you guys have any old phones lying around that need repaired, or if you have a console like your N64 is busted, you can't quite figure out what's wrong with it, or say your next gen console is not just not cutting it anymore. PC repair as well. Make sure you guys take it over to the guys at Elite Electronics on Oliver. We're next to that old churn and burn. You can't miss them. They got a nice flag flying, so you can't miss them at all.
On top of that, we also have, like we mentioned before, our friends at the Locker Room. Get your drink on. You won't regret it. They have very good shakes too.
And a big shout out. We went and visited XP Northwest Wichita. There's a nationwide league called the XP League, and there are in multiple cities little pods where you can go in and get your game on and get some coaching and improvements and maybe even join a team. So make sure you guys check them out. Our boys over there are cooking like crazy. They placed third in Apex Nationals for the league. They went to Orlando and kicked booty down there. Big shout out. Yeah, make sure you guys check them out. They're cool. We'll drop a link.
And be looking out for a lot more to happen with all these sponsors. Like, we don't just freely put things on here, guys. So if we're talking about them, it's because they're, like I mentioned, they're family. They're part of the nerd community, and we're having conversations, and there's cool things that might be happening. So be on the lookout for all that.
Hit the subscribe button.
Hit it.
And the bell.
Smash it like it owes you money. Yes.
Well, wait. No, you know what we need? You know what we need? We need that clip of me, that collision.
I need to get
that bell button right now. Click it. Make sure you guys are following along, because guys, the next interview I do is going to shatter your minds. Make sure you guys pay attention.
Don't be sleeping. on Podcasting More Nerdy, guys. You guys are here at the ground floor, and we will not forget that. You know, as we grow, you're going to grow, more opportunities come, more giveaways, potentially, those sort of things. You're on the ground floor and you're growing with us, and we will be forever grateful to all you nerds.
If y'all stick around, you're going to see some cool shit.
And with that, like I tell you always, keep it nerdy.
Keep it nerdy, y'all. Let's go.
Let's go.